Okay, looks like we ran out of wire. Gotta change that wire out. Perfect. Now basically, it's time to learn how to install this wire. Now, this is what you call your whip. This is your whip, okay? And on the end of your whip is your trigger, which is your gun. They call it a trigger because it's got the trigger right here, okay? Now this thing that you can screw off right here, Dominic, this is called your cup. This is your inner shield cup. This is where you put on usually most of the time because gas runs through there and it shields the cup. But this one doesn't have any kind of gas that comes through it, so it just still acts as a cup and kind of keeps whatever gas that's created by melting this wire right there in that cup. Okay, now this thing right here, this is a tip. See it unscrews? Now you usually should have gloves on because it makes your fingers all dirty. But the tip, see the tip won't come off until it has a clean cut there or a brand new wire. Alright? But the tip screws on there and the tip basically guides the wire perfectly straight and steady coming out of here. Because if it doesn't have that, it's going to come out of here all floppy and wobbly and windy, and you don't want that. Okay? Usually I use a tool to tighten that down, and I'll show you what that is here in a second. I don't have it right now. Maybe I should go grab it, but boom, let me go grab it. A certain kind of tool, and I'm going to give it to you. Where is it? Right here. Alright, Dom, I'll give these to you. These are called welpers. These right here do several things. The welper is the welder's helper. When it comes to MIG welding, you have a wire cutter, you have a tip grabber to grab the tip and twist it off or tighten it, and then you have a cup cleaner on the outside of it here, and then you also have a pincher to grab stuff like a wire. But the outside of it right here works really good for cleaning the cup. You kind of just put it in there and then try to like spread it open. You know what I mean? And it kind of gives it a little teeth on there, grip it, and that cleans your cup out. See that?
Yeah.
Now, the cutter is for the wire. Now you could take that tip off and on if you wanted, because you give it a fine cut. Sometimes your tip gets melted up, you have to put a new one on, or it gets wallowed out, which means it gets lopsided in there, or elongated, gets worn out, wallowed. So I screw that back on there, and then you take the part that grabs that, and you give it just a little bit of a tight twist. You don't want to tighten it too much, because then if it gets too hot, it might not be able to come off. Screw that back on there. Now that's your tip and your cup. But we need to change the wire, so let's go ahead and open the wire up. Open your wire up. Now one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this wire here with the tip, and I'm going to pull it out like this. Because this wire right here is no good. It's pretty much trash. You having a little trouble there? Yeah, it's not easy opening. Let me give you a hand there. Sometimes it's easier to take the tool, that little pinch spot, and just grab it and rip it. Once you get a hole there, then you can stab it inside, kind of work it like that until it gets loose enough to where you can roll it over and fold it. Now most of these come with a warning label. Oh look, it comes with a thank you sticker. Thank you. Alright, so now this is some 0.030 gasless, no shielding gas required. So basically it's gasless. Okay, so now what you're going to do, you're going to open up this bad boy. Now I've already taken out the old spool, Dominic. Here, I got the pieces here. These are all the pieces that go to it. It is a spring, it is a tightener knob, and it is basically like a spacer to go against the spool. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to open it up, lift it up. At this point now, you find out which way the wire is spun, or spound, wound, however you want to call it. And since this is higher than that, you want to make sure the wire is basically coming off the back and coming up and then into the machine. So if the wire is right here, I can tell that the wire is spun this way. That's which way I'm going to want to put the spool. Now there's no hole in there, so you're just going to have to pop little holes in there, no big deal. Make sure the wires face the right way. Make sure you get it all the way back against the machine, Dominic, okay? Now once you get it all the way on there, see this thing has a notch. See? Yeah. It's round and then it's flat. So does the screw. Yeah. So it has to go on that way. Once it goes on that way, apply your, we'll apply your spring, but put it inside of this first. Then kind of push it on there, and it's going to be some tension. It's going to be kind of hard. Dang it, maybe I messed that up. Maybe I did that wrong. Oh. There. The spring goes on the inside of that. My bad. Then let's go this way. Okay, goes that way. Once you get it on there, kind of feel it, see how it spins. You want it to kind of spin freely. You don't want it to be on there so tight to where it can't spin. You want it just back off just a little bit to where, okay. Just make sure it can move, okay? It's not going to come off. Once you get that there, you're going to have to open up your wire here. I just pull it from this end. But you're going to have to hold it. So once you pull it out of that hole, make sure you're holding on to it. Because if you don't and you let go of that wire, it's going to unwound and it's going to ruin the nice tight wound that we have on the spool. So once you get that, kind of hold that tension on it, pull it up past to where it's going to go inside of the machine. It's going to enter the machine right there after the rollers, okay? Kind of in the way of the camera, but that's all right. Now, clip the end of it, then hold the spool, roll it back, basically roll this back on there. See, this one has like a little tube, so you're going to have to get it inside that tube, which is kind of cool. It's like a guide. And keep the tension and push it through there. When you get it through there, you got to make sure that you get it up into that other little hole there. Yep, and then once you get enough in there like that, just kind of give it a couple little feeds and then drop that. Put your tensioner on, drop your door, turn your machine on. Okay, this is what I like to do. I shouldn't have put this back on, but it's good to know this. So basically take the cup off and take your tip off. It doesn't always get caught in the tip, but sometimes when you're trying to feed it through, it gets caught in the tip. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop that. Thank you. So you just pull the trigger and wait for it to feed it all the way through. Okay, once it gets out to about here, just stop. Put your tip on, cut your wire, put your cup on, you're ready to go, Dominic. Now, if this was a regular gas machine and it had gas coming through here, you'd want to turn off your gas bottle and then pull the trigger. Otherwise, psh, you'd just be wasting gas. It takes a while for it to go through. And yeah, and that's another thing too. You can turn up your wire speed and it'll basically make it come faster. But don't worry about that right now. Okay, it ain't coming out and I don't feel it. So what I need to do is I need to open it up and I need to make sure it's spinning. Oh, it's not. See, it's not in between the wheels. Oh, okay, so you got to make sure that that wire in between the wheels there and sits on the right. I should have looked at that before. Now let's make sure it's, see, now it's spinning, okay? So now we wait for it to come out. It doesn't always come out straight, that's why I take the tip off. Now sometimes the tip is tapered. Actually, that one's tapered. It probably would have come out if I would have left the tip on, but for safe practice, I always do that. Now, one thing you never want to do, Dominic, is you never want to hold your hand over there when you're trying to have that wire come through, because sometimes that wire will come through so fast it'll pierce you in your hand. Or if you got it here and you got to pay attention where that wire's coming out. And you don't want it coming out with your hand over it or your finger over it, because it'll pierce right through your glove and go right into your finger, and it'll cut your finger open you know, it'll pierce your finger. So it's important to know that, okay? Once you get your tip back on, give it a little bit of a tight tension, clip your wire, throw your cup back on, and we'll get back to welding, all right?